My beautiful friends, it is Friday, and it's already starting. Yes, so Friday, February 19th, 2021. Let me start off with the markets, and then I want to talk about what's really going on here. So right now, the stock market is poised for a higher open across the board. Lovely. Okay, you know the mechanism here. It's out of control. However, look at the 10-year yield. 10-year yield 1.31. This is not good to me, but the dollar is weaker yet again. You understand, if you follow my work here, there is a compensatory mechanism in play here. The weaker dollar is offsetting the higher 10-year yield for now. Okay, I still don't like the 10-year yield here. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out. I think the stock market is stupid. Record high, record high, record high, record high. No pullback. It's not normal. But again, when you got, now you got the Treasury and the Federal Reserve working in tandem to balloon the debt. I mean, we heard from Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen yesterday is saying, oh no, we need a lot more stimulus. Now, who does this sound like? The Federal Reserve. A lot more stimulus. They're working together to destroy the United States and the world to allow the Federal Reserve again to fulfill its endgame, to be the lender and buyer of last resort, to buy it all. To buy it all. That's what we have here. And who loses? Well, America and the world loses. I don't know another way to put this here. A global takeover is well underway. In fact, they're almost done with it. I'm referring to central banks now here in the United States, the Treasury and the Federal Reserve working in tandem to bury our nation and its people under an ocean of debt. And it's giving the stock market all the boost it could possibly need. And that's why stock futures are higher right now despite the 10-year yield. When you have a Treasury Secretary and the Federal Reserve talking about, nuclear, super freaking natural debt, well, what would you expect the stock market to do? It's incredible. All right, so anyway, like I said, stocks are poised for a higher open. Cryptocurrencies are getting bid higher. Gold and silver are about flat right now, and that's just a mechanism within itself. We'll talk more about that in a moment. You got the dollar under pressure, like I just explained to you. Crude oil under a little pressure right now. Okay, that's really where we stand in this market. Okay, but what does it mean? It means, again, there's opportunity everywhere. Everywhere. Look, I can't help myself. You won't know that. I look at this stuff and I go, where are the opportunities? Because they're everywhere. Let them play their game. We will play our game. Now let's talk a little further here. Turn on Fox Business, Bloomberg, CNBC. The talk is inflation, inflation, inflation. You can't get away from it. It's an incredible situation. Meanwhile, these same entities have been pushing the narrative of no inflation since forever. But over the last 2 weeks, we've been hearing from Fed presidents explaining, oh yeah, inflation's coming, but don't worry about it. I mean, you can't make this stuff up now. Yesterday, we heard again from the Federal Reserve, who is now warning about inflation. Duh! People, the environment we are in is so twisted and sick. It's literally sick. I don't know. We went from, oh, don't worry about inflation, there's no inflation, to now the Federal Reserve warning about inflation. It can't be stopped. Realize what's happening. We have world central banks inflating in tandem. All right, none more so than the Federal Reserve, because the U.S. dollar remains the world reserve currency. The Federal Reserve is funneling dollars around the world. They're buying it all. All. we have now the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve working in tandem to inflate even further. And now we get a warning from the Federal Reserve that brace for inflation. I mean, that's exactly their words, brace for inflation. Like, life isn't hard enough for the average person already. If you're rich, if you're well off, you really don't care that much right now, but you will care too. Because the scenario is very simple. We are going to get a moment where that debt market sells off when we get a yield spike like you will not believe. The yield spike is going to put pressure on the stock market. Cash is going to leave the debt market. It's going to leave the stock market. Money will start to move. Okay, when that happens, you can expect a wave of inflation, and I mean a wave, more like a tidal wave of inflation. Right now, we have a dead economy. They killed the money velocity via the scamdemic so that central banks could inflate. Do you see this? It should be laid out right in front of you if you've been following my work. I've covered this, so perfectly. Honestly, look at what's going on, and what you are seeing is real. It's real. But you're going to try to be convinced that it is not real. It's an unbelievable situation that we are in, people. It really is. I don't know another way to put it. Now, going back to gold and silver, being that now we have the Federal Reserve telling us to brace for inflation. We have Fed presidents themselves saying, oh, inflation's coming, but don't worry about it. What does this mean? It means we need to more so bet against the debt, more so become our own central bank. That means, again, to hold hard assets here. Physical gold, more specifically physical silver, which to me remains the most undervalued asset on the freaking planet. So again, I guess, the secret is out. Inflation is coming. We're seeing it everywhere. We've been seeing it everywhere, you and me. The numbers that they feed you are lies, but now you get warnings from the Fed presidents, a Treasury secretary now explaining we need a lot more stimulus. What's going to happen? You got, again, the Treasury and the Fed lockstep working in tandem to elevate the Federal Reserve. Again, we have a one world government now, today. The freak show, the Trump freak show, the Biden freak show, it's all a freak show. You understand? They don't matter. Presidents, kings, queens, monarchs, even dictators do not run their respective nation. It's run by the banks. The banks run the world. And until you realize that, you're going to be lost. You are going to be lost or locked into some kind of a delusion. Maybe you'll wake up after this video. I doubt some of you just too fixated on it. But if you follow this blog, you get it. And you know this more than I think anybody else out here. So that's where we stand right now, people. We are going to face a moment of a debt implosion, a debt market implosion, the likes of which have never been seen on the face of the earth. It's going to change the landscape of the financial world by design. Again, by design. What is the Fed doing? What is the Fed and Treasury now doing? They are desperately trying to prevent a liquidity freeze or a credit freeze. Okay, that's why you got, Treasury secretaries, the Federal Reserve printing cash out of thin air, adding it to a digital screen like there's no tomorrow. They must continue this mechanism while, again, we face the prospect and warning from the Federal Reserve of nuclear debt, just like I've been explaining to you. They're trying desperately to prevent a lockup of the entire system for as long as possible. We will get that lockup of the system. We will get that credit freeze, and then we get a new system, which they already have. They're just waiting to create. They will create an event. Okay, this is by design, which will allow them to fulfill their end game. Again, problem, okay, which will be created. Wait for the reaction from the public, and then the solution. We are in the middle of the creation of a slave state on a global scale. But I'm talking about here in the United States more specifically. A public dependent on the New World Order government. You understand? This has all been laid out. Nothing that we are seeing is by design, is by accident. It's all by design. Every single thing you are seeing is by design. It's been thought out years ago. And they're just stringing the public along. This scamdemic, we were warned about something like this years ago that it would happen. And here it is here. To deliberately shut down the global economy, kill the money velocity so central banks could inflate so they can finish their final solution. To be the lenders and buyers of last resort. To create that two-tier society that I've been warning about for like a decade. You can't make this stuff up, people. You can't do it. But it's real, and yes, what you are seeing is real, despite the fact that you got the propaganda ministry via the mainstream financial channels, mainstream media, try to convince you that what you're seeing is not real. It's an incredible thing. Get ready for this event to occur, and that is going to be, again, an implosion of the debt market on an epic scale. Pandemonium in the streets. Again, massive problem. That's what is going to be created. Massive public reaction, and then, of course, their solution, which is going to be an entirely new system, a whole new set of rules. We all know it. We know it's going to happen. And being that, again, we have the Treasury and the Fed now working in tandem to vastly inflate, more so than we have ever seen before. I've told you. Again, last year, the Federal Reserve's balance sheet nearly doubled. It's going to double from here and then quadruple. Until we get that moment of reckoning. And that moment of reckoning is coming. Maybe we're getting a warning from the debt market right now with this 10-year yield rising like this. Again, we want to see the 10-year yield bounce around in a range. We don't want to see it make monumental moves in a short period of time. That's not good. That's not good from many perspectives. But again, there is opportunity here, and that's what this is all about to me, okay? Trying to keep ourselves, and we are, keeping ourselves on the right side of the charade. The charade that is being played on the world, and people believe that this is just, it's just by accident. No, everything here is by design, leading towards a grand finale. And the grand finale is going to be the implosion of the debt market, which is going to change the landscape of the entire world. It really is. All right, look, I'm out of here. Kind of a long video. Very important. Please share it. Get it out there. I'll see all of you later.